Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 6th of September, and what a run we've been in. It's a non-stop up move, and with extremely low prices. On Friday, when we closed, I was carrying a position which was partly bearish on the Nifty. I was carrying a position which was partly bullish on the Bank Nifty, and a sideways position on Reliance, which more or less are my larger trades, which might require management. So you'd expect that it would have quite a bad day because Reliance rallied up like anything. Bank Nifty closed 0.5% in the negative, and Nifty shot up a tremendous amount in the morning and then consolidated. So all that being the case, I still closed up about 1% from Friday close to today's close on a mark-to-market basis. I haven't booked that position yet, and that's kind of the power of I guess positional selling, which is not something that I deeply favor. But in these markets, positional selling, which is fully hedged and which is IV positive, made sense to me, which is why I took that kind of a trade. And more or less didn't have to do much. Just made a few adjustments on the Bank Nifty just to account for the fact that it's looking pretty weak, and I wanted to protect the downside break even a little bit more. And yeah, that's about it. Not too many things. I think I've gone over a little bit more in terms of positional trades like diagonals and how to adjust them, as well as something like a positional triangle, which I have on Reliance, how to adjust it so that it doesn't really bother me. Some of these trades require additional capital. So two adjustments that I did, which was creating a put calendar as well as creating another bullish triangle on top of Reliance, where I'm shorting in the money puts and much more out the money calls. So that would require additional capital. Some others won't, like how I shifted a part of my diagonal leg on the Bank Nifty from 37,100 to 36,900 towards the close, just to shift my break evens a little bit by 150 points in either direction. So I hope you have some good takeaways from this. I hope you've had a good September so far, and I hope you were long on the market. So yeah, take care. I will catch you tomorrow. Bye bye. Also, to add one more thing that I just skipped over. Right now, everyone is trying to call the top. Everyone is talking about how ridiculous this up move is, and like how IT really at some point has to slow down, and how Reliance started the bull run, so it's going to end with Reliance, the bull run, with this up move that Reliance has made. It's and yeah, you know what, most you could be right, but at the same time, when everyone's on the same page, and most people who seem to be talking are quite certain about the fact that this up move is completely irrational and it just cannot keep happening, and they'll be right at some point, but that point doesn't necessarily have to be now. So my advice is, I'm noticing a lot of people trying to take very bearish positions on the index, and my only thing to them is this saying, it's not mine, but it says markets will be much more irrational for a much longer time than you can be liquid while you're trying to be rational. So be a little careful. I think you should react to the market and not try to predict what happens. We'd all be suckers if we're looking at 18,000 by the end of this month. It's a very realistic possibility, and I mean, there is a probability for it to happen, right? So wait for the right things, or if you want to go short, wait for the right signals to go short. I don't think going short right off the bat into a roaring up move is the right thing to do. So take hedge trades, be careful, and thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.
Want to meet like-minded traders and discuss option strategies, adjustments, and more? Just type in Discuss Nifty in your Telegram search box and join the friendly trader community.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The time is 10 o'clock, and I will just go over what is happening on all of the different positional trades. Firstly, I'm not taking any intraday trade today, mostly because we have opened way out of range and potentially can get pulled, depending on what happens on Reliance and IT put together, can get pulled to 17,500. And to account for that, the pricing of options is not, in my opinion, good enough. And also, there's a good chance that we fill this gap, and even for that, the pricing of options is not good enough. And I mean, that's more or less working out fine, because if you see the entire day, we've had a rising VIX sort of a situation. And I will cover what is happening one by one on each of the trades. So I'll start with the Nifty. So this particular Nifty position, my long strangle is gained a lot, wherein it's giving me about 3 lakhs plus profit. And my short strangle is more or less at cost. So this is the best case scenario. for any double diagonal position. And basically what will happen is if we start to continue to head higher during the end of the day, I will take my 17,500 call short and move it to 17,600, making a diagonal at 17,600. And if there is a good enough rise in IV, I might actually book this position because it is currently sitting in a pretty good profit. And just for context, on close of Friday, my position on mark to market should have been at 14,000. 13,000 would have been the booked loss on that particular day. So that's Nifty position doing really well. But the problem will be if there's a big cool off in IV. But regardless, I think even in such a situation, the position should do all right. So I was carrying a relatively bearish position, but the increase in IV is what has put this position in a good profit. Now, moving on to Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty currently, we are more or less at a point where our lower peak of the double diagonal is once again going to breach, because even though we opened gap up with a lot of strength coming from Reliance and IT, banks are not particularly strong at all. So there is no strength in the banking index at this point of time. I'm expecting this 16,600 to hold. If 16,600 doesn't hold, then I will have to make some adjustments to my position. The adjustment that I will be making is I will take the call leg here and move it to 16,600. What that will do is that will open up an entire potential further downside break even of almost about 200 points. And we'll have to wait and see if I'm forced into doing something like that, because when the broader sentiment is green, you won't see some kind of a big downtick, even if there isn't a continued up move on Bank Nifty. That is something to keep in mind. And the third trade, which is partly getting butchered, is the Reliance trade, where due to this rapid up move back to back of on one day 4% and the next day 4%, the upper side break even is almost getting tested. And my idea to deal with this would be to create a position like this, which would add much more of an upper side break even till about 2,600. And yeah, that's more or less the plan. We'll keep you posted. Time is about 10 o'clock. And the thing is, the Reliance position continues to bleed because Reliance is heading higher and higher. And because Bank Nifty is staying lower, it's not being compensated overall from my overall exposure currently. I have to kind of look at it as that I have a partly bullish position on Bank Nifty, which has pretty large exposure. I have a partly bearish position on Nifty, and I have a bearish position basically at this point on Reliance. Ideally, I would want to make the adjustment on Reliance towards the close, but in case I'm forced to, I'll probably have to do it intraday if we take out 2,500. So yeah, that's about it. Okay, one adjustment made to my Bank Nifty position is I've added a put diagonal at 36,200, and I will go over what exactly that does. Bank Nifty is looking weak, right? And despite the gap up, it's now taking out potentially Friday's lows. And I don't want to deal with the fact that my mark to market will fluctuate quite a bit over that. And preemptively, I've sort of made an adjustment. So my Bank Nifty position was, this is how it looks now, where my lower break even has been pushed almost to 36,000 and the upper break even has been brought down to 37,400. Previously it was 37,700. I was expecting a catch up sort of a move on Bank Nifty, but that is clearly not happening. So I've added this position. This position acts as a bearish position, so in case there's a down move, this will protect me. Of course, if there is an up move beyond 36,870, it will start giving me a loss. These are all rough estimates because these are calendars. You can't know the exact behavior of later dated options. It will just be shown as a falling off in IV in case they lose more than they're supposed to. And yeah, this will protect me against a continued down move. Nothing else done to any of the other positions. They're just the same. Just partly this 100 lots of put diagonal added on the Bank Nifty as a preemptive way. My view continues to remain that will probably more likely head higher here than lower. But at the same time, in case we do head lower, I don't want to be so drastically affected by it. And this move sort of protects some amount of mark to market as well. So Yeah, looks like more or less what is evident is that for a while now, majority of the strength is coming from non-banking, and I think there's too much of an expectation from everyone that banking should also catch up and then hit to a new lifetime high, but we don't seem to be in a rush to do that, or at least there might be some kind of trigger that's required, which is not happening at this point. Okay, the time is 2:45, and more or less, Bank Nifty is at its day's low. This position has done what it's supposed to do. It's protecting me slightly. There hasn't been much of a move, so you can't realistically expect it to protect too much. Reliance after the up move has given up a good 65 points. IT, on the other hand, massive amount of strength in the last 2 hours or so. And Bank Nifty trading close to its day's low, trading at its day's low more or less, or at least very close. So this adjustment did what it's supposed to. It has it's basically a debit, so it really can't lose me too much in case the view goes wrong. And this is protecting the remainder of my position. Now, one thing is when people look at something like this, it kind of get a little confused thinking, okay, this is extremely complex, but not really. You can break this down into individual positions and understand what's happening. So first, let's look at this 37,100 straddle. This 37,100 straddle, call has given up almost all of its value. Put has gained quite a bit. This call won't lose much more from here. So there's not immense amount of protection from these calls. And these puts will eventually reach a point where they basically act as though I'm long the future because I'm short super deep in the money put options. But at the same time, what is the hedge for it? You have to consider 2,500 quantity of this long 36,500 put option as a hedge for it. So it's not like I'm just going to be bleeding on this put without benefiting. And right now, just consider 2,500 quantity because these two are 2,500 each. Now, next, when Bank Nifty was higher up on Friday, I created this 36,600 short straddle. Look at it as a short straddle. My call was much more expensive than the put option, which is why into the down move, the call has given up a lot more than what the put option has. And there is a high theta value in this because both the legs are almost perfectly balanced. And once again, here it will look like, okay, in case there is a continued down move, this put is also going to expand. So whatever benefit I created by selling an in the money call is offset by the fact that this put will gain. But once again, 2,500 quantity of those put options, which is completely, is hedged by 2,500 quantity of this put option. So that is not going to be too much of a problem. Where my problem will be is if there is a big crash in this 37,500 call option, which I don't see happening considering the kind of upside momentum we have had. And now let us look at the adjustment leg. Adjustment leg, mainly the trade is being long this option. 36,200 put option being long is the main trade. But at the same time, to little bit offset the fact that there's going to be decay in this, the weekly 36,200 put option has been sold. So this has to expire on Thursday, whereas this is going to have to stay alive all the way till the end of the month. So in case there is a down move, whatever this long put option will gain will be completely much more than whatever this short put option over here in the weekly is going to gain. So that is a bearish position essentially. So now if you look at all of that in combination, that is where you'll sort of arrive at, okay, how does the overall position look? Also, there'll be big mark-to-market jumps, mostly because there'll be a lack of liquidity in some of the monthly options. But more or less, the mark-to-market has been holding between 2.5 lakhs since after making my adjustment. So all that being the case, now with the down move in Reliance, I'm going to be making one adjustment to Reliance, which is, after we headed higher, we've almost rejected almost a good 65 points from there. But I'm now not comfortable with my upper break even just being 2,500. So I will be adding a trade like this, which will push my upper break even by another 40 points or so and give up a little bit from the lower break even. So it'll basically shift my position so that I'm better centered around 2,400. So that being the case, this I will do in the last few minutes. And I'll see if there's any kind of a move. But so far into the last few minutes, all we're seeing is a little bit of weakness coming in Bank Nifty. Now heading to the day's low. The way I see it, even if I carry this position and assuming the current mark to market that I am in on Bank Nifty, even if there is a down move by tomorrow, how would it look? So assuming tomorrow, even if there is a down move, let us say we head below 36,500, which I'm thinking to be unlikely because there is a lot of support that has been built up at 36,500 on the bank nifty. There is good resistance also at high levels. There has been selling of call options, but there's a lot of 36,700 straddle writing on the bank nifty. 36,700, and now we've seen addition of 36,600 and 36,500 short straddle. But despite, even if there is a down move, this is more or less how the position will look. It will be basically at a better mark to market than what it is currently. And after making this adjustment, I don't mind. I'm not very uncomfortable holding a slightly bullish position on bank nifty. I'll keep you posted at close. The time is 2:51, and yeah, at this point of time, there is no adjustment to be done. Okay, one more change to the bank nifty position into the close, and that will be to basically square off this leg of 37,100 and move it down to 36,900. That will remove about 150 points from my upside break even. See that this is executing properly. This will remove 150 points from my upside break even and will add another 150 points to my downside break even. Mostly because my short call will now basically have no credit. And into a Monday itself, that would be too early to have no credit left. I've also added this Reliance position where I've shorted the 2,500 put option and the 2,600 call option in order to balance my position in the direction of the upside if after today's breakout and rejection we have a continued upside and retest the highs. Once the market is closed, I will go over what the different positions will now look like, and yeah, we'll keep you posted. Time is 3:26 and 4 minutes to go for market close. Okay, we're just about to close, and more or less it looks like from Friday's closing, we'll be closing at a little bit at around 2 lakhs in the green as far as mark to market is concerned. And what this will now make my positions look like, I'll just go over. Okay, so one reason why I had to move the bank nifty position down, first I'll cover that, is because there is a lot of call shorting that's happening in the money, and potentially what that does is opens up the range potentially at least intra week during the week for us to head to 36,000 even to test. So I'm not very comfortable with my break even being here, which is where it was. So I brought it further down just to about 36,000, slightly over, but that's fine. There is a huge amount of call shorts that have happened all the way till 36,500. Of course, there is some amount of put writing as well, but more or less what I'm working with the rough range for this week's expiry now is that 37,000 more or less should be off the cards, and 36,000 is the actual proper, you can say, definite resistance. There should be resistance at 36,500, but if we gap down tomorrow below 36,500, then potentially opens up these unwinding and whatnot. Now I am sitting on a fully hedged trade, and it has a pretty good risk to reward as well, but at the same time I need that buffer. So we'll go over first the bank nifty position. Okay, so this is how the bank nifty position looks like now, and my break even on the downside is below 36,000, so that gives me a lot of room in case we have a gap down situation tomorrow. Yeah, so it's about 36,000, and more or less if we have a gap down also, it is not a terrible thing, and my upside still has about 200 points above 37,000. And let me just clear these trades so that it's only taking my trades. Yeah, currently it's in a slight profit, and more or less I think this range should be fine for the rest of the week. I'll see tomorrow, depending on what happens and what the OI is suggesting, if I have to make any further changes to it. Second position is the Nifty position. One option was to take a little bit more credit on the put side. I decided against it just to see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow, if we do have once again a gap up, then my Nifty position will hurt me, but that will be balanced by the fact that my bank Nifty position most likely will be doing well, which is why I have not taken additional put credit on the Nifty position. This is making me a very good return due to the kind of spike in IV. It's about 3.8%. Most likely I will book this position tomorrow. So that is what is happening on the Nifty position. The Reliance, after my adjustment, what I did was basically sold in the money puts to cover for the fact that my in the money calls are hurting me, and also sold some very out the money. So it's not even like I've created a straddle at 2,500. I've sold 2600 calls to get a little more additional credit on the call side. So this is how the position looks now, with break evens of about 202, sorry, 2550, and slightly below 2300 on the downside. This I'm now once again comfortable to hold. Let's see what management is required, if any. So that's about it. From opening, where I was about at a mark to market of 15,000 in the gain, to closing at about 2 lakhs 4,000. I think that's fair enough outcome. And I'll be carrying these positions, so we can't really consider. As far as booked mark to market is concerned, it's about booked today a loss of 44,000 plus 13,000, so 57,000 is what is the booked P&L. So that much additional will be showing in the green tomorrow. So we'll have to keep track of that. Thank you so much for watching. These are pretty interesting markets. I think as of now, everyone is trying to call the top, and a lot of people are like, yeah, Reliance started the bull market, Reliance will end the bull market, all shitty stocks are rallying, that's the end of the bull market. The last part of a burning candle burns the brightest, whatnot. I think we shouldn't be in a rush to call the top. Just look at the market for what it is right now, and try to trade that market and take corrective action if your trade isn't going so well. So that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you tomorrow, and take care. Bye bye.
Thank you for watching. Please post any questions you have in the comment section. Also, do not forget to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. To find us on Twitter, Telegram and Facebook, use the username NiftyBN. Also, we post some of our trades to the community tab. So do not forget to check that from time to time.